美國對委內瑞拉發動軍事行動，以販毒恐怖活動為罪名，逮捕總統馬杜羅夫婦到美國受審，可謂2026年第一宗令人震驚嘅國際事件。有人舉牌抗議，批評美國動武違反國際法，亦都有人大肆慶祝，祝願委國嘅人民脫離獨裁統治。喺事件仍在發展當中嘅同時，會對國際嘅秩序帶嚟啲咩影響？喺今晚嘅政論縱橫，有學者為我哋進行分析解讀。對於美國特朗普政府喺委內瑞拉嘅行動，有政治學者認為係背棄咗二次世界大戰80年以嚟所奉行按規章辦事嘅國際治理原則，做法係錯誤嘅。
It says to China, as it says to Russia and other parts of the world, that the United States is withdrawing from its engagement in the global system and is focused on the Western Hemisphere. China could very well interpret that to mean that they have a freer hand to operate within their own sphere of influence. In this sense, I think what Trump is doing is incredibly counterproductive from the perspective of American hegemony in the world, but also from the perspective of the global rules-based order.
Cameron 認為美國冇一套完整嘅善後方案處理委內瑞拉嘅問題，所以目前用打擊毒販、接管、政權過渡等嘅字眼去形容行動，令人感到混亂。至於目前由副總統羅德里格斯領導嘅政府係換湯不換藥。
So simply removing Maduro from the picture doesn't change the regime, doesn't alter the situation fundamentally. Now we have to see whether the holding an invasion like a sort of Damocles over the head of the Venezuelans can actually get results.
佢認為委內瑞拉實際上係大國博弈當中嘅配角，而美國嘅舉動會被中國仿效，喺本身嘅勢力範圍下照做，而美國喺全球或亞太地區嘅影響力會減低。而有專門研究國際關係同衝突嘅學者指出，美國嘅強硬行動可能有利中國喺拉丁美洲採取以經濟建設為主導嘅外交策略。
China will use this to basically present themselves as friendlier and more diplomatic than the United States, for example. They can end up using this to argue with other countries. Look, the United States is very activist. They're very much kind of imposing governments. We are just much more open for business, which China will try to use from a soft power diplomatic perspective.
佢亦都指出，特朗普越境逮捕馬杜羅並非即興嘅行動，因為委內瑞拉嘅政治理念一直同美國敵對，而且親近中俄，成為咗美國鷹派外交人士眼中嘅國家安全隱患。
Given that Venezuela has these oil reserves, given that Venezuela is a fairly significant regional actor, this is a major pressing concern for many of kind of the American foreign policy hawks, as we call them, individuals who are looking for kind of a very assertive American foreign policy, and they don't want any kind of potential weak points in basically America's defenses. And a Venezuela that is closely aligned with Russia and or China is as such a potential liability.
佢亦都指出，加拿大調整對外政策，已經放棄咗前朝政府嘅所謂女權主義外交，改為面向多方多國拓展經濟貿易。因此喺應對美國嘅做法時避重就輕，唔提人權等嘅問題，亦都唔願意得罪其他國家。
Prime Minister Carney almost talking around the subject, to be perfectly honest. We're not addressing the actual raid itself, which calls into question many of kind of international law norms. Instead, more or less referring to Maduro's government as being authoritarian and despotic, which most people could agree to a certain extent, in order to avoid potentially aggravating Trump. We still have outstanding trade deal issues with the United States.
美國針對委內瑞拉嘅突襲，唔單止係為咗重建其政治、經濟同埋社會秩序，亦都係警告其他國家，美國會不惜破壞國際慣例規章，嚟到保障自身嘅國家安全同埋利益。好啦，今晚嘅政論縱橫就先講到呢一度。